Spring is a time of intense competition in the garden. All of a sudden, the soil is warming up, the sun comes out, rain starts falling, and insects are back and alive. So there's a rush, there's an incredible rush for everyone to put out the flowers, attract them, and get the insects to pollinate them and then make children, fruits, seeds, whatever it may be. So in this amazing competition for resources, it pays to be fast and to be early, because the faster you are, the more you're going to grow quickly, the more leaves you're going to make, the more shade you're going to make for those that are going to come after you and therefore suppress their growth. And the more quickly you will make your flower and attract those bees and other beneficial insects to pollinate you. So it is a race. In this race, for the attraction of all these beneficial insects, it pays to be spectacular. So you want to be bright, big, ebullient, gorgeous, so that all those things that are flying around will come to you. So this is one of them. This is a beautiful tree called Cytisus, and it just bursts with yellow flowers. Check them out. On the opposite side of the color spectrum, we have wisteria, and these are the wisteria flowers that you all know. The difference with the Cytisus flowers is that they smell wonderfully. In fact, as I stand in front of them, I'm surrounded by them, they are just intoxicating, their smell. So we learned two things. You need color and or you need smell to attract those insects. And the wisteria gives both of them. Check out a little close-up of how beautiful these little flowers are. And unfortunately, you cannot smell them, but I can. You may have noticed that the yellow flowers that I just showed you before and these flowers actually look exactly the same. That's because, as so often happens, they're in the same family. Even though they look different, they can be in the same family. From the heights of the trees, now we're down lower to the ground, and we have these kind of flowers that are coming out. Check them out. Can you guess what these are? Yes, for those of you that know, they're onions. They're actually decorative onions, so they're a special kind of onion that you don't eat, but it has these spectacular little bulby flowers. Look at them from far away. Here they are. And they're another delight to have. And don't worry, they don't smell oniony unless you really rub them. And spring would not be spring unless the poppies came out. And this is a particular kind of gigantic poppy. Look how big it is next to my face. And it's about the size of almost my face. And it's a classic poppy that you can find anywhere and have it grow. And they are always, along with sparrows, they're the thing that really brings spring to me. And for a more shaded corner of your garden, one of the best friends that you can possibly have is the columbine. It grows beautifully and makes these wonderful little bizarre flowers actually. I'll try to get as close as possible to them if you can see them. They're always kind of face down, so they're like little bells, and they have a nice complicated aspect to them. They have no smell, they just look great, and they're in the shade, so the bee that flies by the shade always finds them and pollinates them. And their leaves are lovely too. Spring is also not the same without tulips, and these particular tulips are black tulips. They're called Queen of the Night, and they look really, really good in front of a very contrasting yellow flowered broom. So the yellow behind is called the broom, and these are the black tulips, Queen of the Night, that are just absolutely beautiful. As you might know, black doesn't really exist in nature, so it has to be made as close as possible by other colors. In this case, if you really, really look closely, these are not black, they're actually very, very dark eggplant color, because it's impossible to make black in nature among the vegetable kingdom. It also wouldn't be spring without lilacs, which fill the garden with their perfume. This is it. The lilac is a bush or a small tree if you prefer. The flowers look like are bunched together like in grapes, so they're like hundreds of flowers in one particular stalk. They're beautiful. They always bloom in the early spring, and they smell delicious. The purity of white. Perhaps one of the most spectacular white flowers in the garden in this particular season is the dogwood. This kind is a Japanese dogwood. It's called Kusa, Kusa, and it has the virtue of having these particular flowers that look like they're made out of papier mâché. And they're wonderful and subtle, and they last a long time, and they have no fragrance at all. They're so pretty, they don't need anything else like fragrance and perfume to attract the pollinators. Spring lasts for 3 months, and we're now kind of in the middle of spring. So throughout that period, different plants produce flowers at different times. So right now, as we're in middle spring, the apple trees and the cherry trees have all blossomed already, and now the lupins are coming out. These are the lupins. They're very, very pretty, and they're just starting to open up. What happens, and the way this works, is that they make these particular pyramids, like this one, okay? And then the flowers start opening from below, as you can see here. They start getting the color, and then as you go up, they open, and they make a very, very big pyramid. This one is more open than you can see, but it will continue to open. It will become a very, very large kind of flower on a stalk. Lupins are wonderful, and they're also very, very good for the soil. But we'll come back to them a little bit later, in about 2 weeks or so, to look at what they look like fully grown.